Hello, welcome to Let the Light in TV. I am Craig Christoffersen, and today we have the 7Artisans 85mm T2.0 Cine lens. And just so you know, before we go any further, that is what you are watching today. We have it on camera at T2.6 right now. All right, let's get into it. You can buy this lens for the Sony E, the Canon R, the Lumix L, and the Nikon Z mounts. Now you can buy just the 85mm lens for $459 US, or you can buy it as a kit. The kit comes with a 35mm, a 50, the 85 that we are reviewing here today. All those three will cost you $1,257 US. All right, now getting into the meat of it. First of all, build quality. It is an all metal design. They are weighty, but they are well built. All right, so they are heavy though. 832 grams is what this one is coming in, the heaviest of them all, of the three in the kit there. And the filter size is 82 millimeters. Now let's talk about the aperture ring and the focus ring. Both of these are declicked. Of course, it is a cine lens, a cinematic lens, so you don't want clickable focus or clickable aperture ring, clickable focus ring. Yeah, what am I talking about? Both rings, I can report, are very smooth. They have a wonderful rotation to them, consistent rotation, ensuring that your focus poles and your aperture racks are going to be even throughout the entire rotation. Now, something to talk about as far as when it comes to the focus ring is it has 270 degrees of focus throw, which is hefty. It's a lot. There's some examples here of, I was out taking video of some golden retrievers, and as they were running towards me, it was a lot to focus rack the distance that they were running. And so if you are just using your hands, of course, with an 85mm lens, crop factor that, multiply it by 1.5, right? That is super zoom. And so to rotate that with your hand while hand operating, hand balancing everything, I wasn't running a tripod, it's difficult. Footage is going to be a little shaky. Luckily it didn't turn out too bad. It's pretty good. But that's something you're going to have to think about. You're probably going to need a tool, whether that's just a handle to grab onto. It's too much to rotate if you're doing far distances with just your fingers, just your hands. You're probably going to need some sort of tool to aid you for focus follow. Now the good news here is that both rings are geared, and their measurements on the lens, where they are located on the lens, is consistent throughout the three in the series. So if you are going to be changing lens on the camera body, it's going to be a quick replacement. If you're using a follow focus system, that type of thing, some add-ons, it's going to be smooth because it's all the same measurements. It's not going to require any tinkering. The aperture ring goes from T2 to T16. Let's talk about minimum focus distance. It is 0.79 meters. That's 2.5 feet. And does it have focus breathing? Yes. Here is the test. You can go ahead and check that out right now. The focus breathing is present. And so once again, just like I showed you in the 50mm, as we go through, you'll see that the door frame and a little bit of that gray paint come into view. And then as we bring the focus all the way back to close, away from affinity and back to close, you'll see that that door frame completely disappears. So there's focus breathing. Things are moving in and out. And so they claim it's close to zero focus breathing. I think this test would say otherwise. Focus breathing is present. Chromatic aberrations, let's talk about that. They are present. I think it's a little bit better than the 50, especially when it comes to the bokeh balls. It's still outlined there. You can see the magenta and green hues popping in the outlines, but overall it's not too bad. It's not excessive. Again, closing down to about T3, T4 is going to reduce that enough where I don't think it's going to bother you too much. Lens flares. It's an interesting throw up here. Pointing it directly in the sun, as you can see we are doing here, and rotating it from T2 to T16, you are going to notice as we move the camera around, do have some decently strong colors at the end of the flare popping in. It's not awful, until you see this shot. This shot, it just hits so hard, and it wasn't something that happened often. This is the only shot, going through the footage while editing the B-roll, this is the only shot where it really did hit hard. But man, if it catches, even Stevie Wonder is going to be able to see these flares come in. It's strong, man. It's strong. You're going to be seeing the rainbow in HDR mode. So it didn't really happen. It happened on that one instance, and it does happen whenever you point it at the sun. But it really popped in there hard for that one example. So overall, it's not, lens flares aren't awful because of the narrowness of view of the zoom, but when they do catch, they can really catch. All right, closing comments. What can I say about this 7Artisans 85mm Cine lens? What I can say is I have been loving them for product shots. I've been loving the detail that they provide, well, giving me that shallow depth of field. For example, in this little video here of this little dog, you can see we've got a nice shallow depth of field, but that fur, there's still so much detail and there's texture in there. It's not soft, it's not washed out. And so I think what these Cine lenses are good at doing is giving you what is in focus. It's gonna be sharp, it's sharply in focus, and there's nice detail and there's nice texture. I think they do have flaws all around the board, sometimes bigger, sometimes stronger. The bokeh balls are really nice and circular, and consistently so through T2 to T16. They stay really nice and circular and have some really nice form there. So that's a really nice strong point here for the 85mm. The lens flares, sometimes it can hit really hard, but it wasn't a problem that I was running into overly often. Again, I'll reiterate, it only happened just that one time, other than pointing it directly into the sun. And so I think we have some nice Cine lenses here. They are made very nice. They create a nice depth of field. Subject is nice and sharp and in focus. I've been happy with them and how I've been using them in the mode that I've been using them. And I hope the footage that I've shown you today helps to inform you of whether you would be happy with this lens or not. If you think you would be happy with this lens and you want to purchase it, then the links are down in the descriptions. If not, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and remember to let the light in.